Hello. Hi, everyone. I am Suketu Mehta. I am a data and application security consultant working in the cryptography space. So, Quantum Safe Cryptography, I'm not going to be biased at all if it's a buzzword or not. So, the motivation of this talk is, well, there's been a lot of buzzwords in the industry lately. Robotics, process automation, blockchain. You guys ever seen that video of Sundar Pichai where he's going AI? Actually, I did. AI's been great. I did ask AI to write me a cryptography joke, but it was so egregious that I'm not even going to repeat that unless anyone actually wants to hear it. Yes? Okay. Why did the cryptographer who turned into a security guard not get access to his building? Couldn't keep track of his keys. That's so bad. I actually wrote that one, not AI. So let me give a very brief history about computers in general. So computers have been around for thousands of years. They've been used. We've been using computers as stone tablets. We've done them as we've used clay tablets. In recent history, we've been using them. We've been creating mechanical computers with switches. Then we've moved on to vacuum tube computers that can create logic gates. Then we moved on to electrical circuits. Then we moved into electrical circuits in someone else's data center. And now, against all other warning, we are now moving into the light. We're moving in that direction. So, well, why are we moving towards the light? Well, you see, even though modern computers are quite powerful, in fact, I know you all know this, but the phones that you're holding in your hands, in your pockets, they're more stronger than they're more powerful than what NASA used to send spaceships to the moon. And yet, what we have is still not enough. It's still not enough because there are hard computational problems out there that we need more power for. One's found in chemistry, found in material science, in medicine, machine learning, and the most important problems of all that are found in banks. What are you joking? Anyway, so I chose this diagram to kind of represent why we're moving towards it. It's because it reminds me of the NP hard, NP complete diagram. If any of you remember that from computer science at university. So I'm not saying that quantum computers are going to solve all our difficult problems, but they are going to solve up certain mathematical difficult problems that we rely on today for cryptography, especially for factorization. So I'm not actually going to go into how a quantum computer works in this talk, though if you do want to hear me do that talk, you'll have to subscribe to my video series on OnlyFans. I'm only joking. No, I'm not qualified to talk in that subject. I don't have a PhD. Oof. Sorry. Didn't have a choice, really. So, public key cryptography relies on hard mathematical problems, on prime factorization. But just very quickly, before I go into prime factorization, let me give you a very quick background into cryptography itself. So there's two types of cryptography that we use. We use symmetric key cryptography and we use asymmetric key cryptography. With symmetric key cryptography, we rely on one key to both encrypt and decrypt, and it's very fast encryption because of the way that the computers do symmetric key cryptography. We rely on bitwise XOR and substitution and diffusion, and so it's very fast. We use ciphers such as AES, Triple DES, and Blowfish, and others. And then we have asymmetric cryptography, where we use a public and a private key pair to both encrypt and decrypt. So we encrypt, decrypt, we sign, we verify, among other things. And asymmetric cryptography is much more computationally expensive because of the way that the chips multiply bits. So we tend not to use it for everything, but we use it to keep our communication secure, especially with SSL TLS. We use it for code signing, we use it for authentication, we use it for SSO, we use it for multiple other uses. And, well, back in the 1990s, a fellow called Peter Shaw created a quantum algorithm that makes use of a sufficiently powerful quantum computer to, well, effectively speed up prime factorization. So essentially that algorithm will break public key cryptography. So if I was Denethor atop Minas Tirith, this is the time I'd shout, "Flee, flee for your lives." Yep, went as down as well as I thought that would. But anyway, not all hope is lost. So remember, I said public key cryptography or asymmetric key cryptography is going to be broken, not symmetric key cryptography. There is going to be there is another algorithm called Grover's algorithm, which does impact symmetric key, but not as much. It is public key cryptography that we need to worry about, actually. So is it a buzzword? No, probably not yet, or probably not. So, well, what can a quantum computer do? What kind of attacks can we do with a quantum computer? And why should we worry that our public key cryptography is probably going to break? We see, right now, before a quantum computer has actually been created, what companies can do or what agencies can do is harvest all the data that you're sending in and out of your organization, harvest enough of it and decrypt it later with a quantum computer. Perfect forward secrecy is not going to matter, especially if you have TLS 1.3, because you've gathered enough communication to be able to decrypt it to find the key, basically. And so that's now. But what about later, right? Well, think about what could happen if you have a CA compromise in your organization. And how would that even work, actually? So let's say I've got access to an organization, I've got access to anyone's laptop. It doesn't even have to be someone privileged. It could just be someone that works in an organization. I would have their root certificate stored in my web browser or in my keychain. I could easily find the private key because I've got the public key. And that's how a quantum computer would be able to break TLS, or digital certificates, basically. And so I can decrypt lots of data within the organization. I can masquerade around the organization as a legitimate service. I can disrupt business. I can perform man-in-the-middle attacks. I can manipulate signatures. There's loads that I can do. And those are just some of the attacks that I've listed out now. There's always more, right? I'm sure you red teamers and the blue teamers all know there's always something more that comes along later. And so you're probably wondering, well, how far away are quantum computers? Well, you see, there's advancements happening on a daily, weekly, and even monthly basis in quantum computers. Really? There's advancements happening on a daily basis in quantum computers. Google have unveiled a new chip. IBM have unveiled a new chip. China are unveiling new chips. And so we are making leaps and bounds in the direction that we're going in. And well, I'm not saying that I don't have a Palantir, so I can't really tell you the future, but I'm not saying that we'll be there by 2030. However, NIST very recently have announced that they are deprecating RSA, elliptic curve, DSA, and all these other fun acronyms, Diffie-Hellman and stuff, by 2030. So, and they'll be completely disallowed by 2035. So what does that mean for us? What does that mean for you, your organization? Well, typically in the UK, we get our standards or our cryptography standards from NIST. Because they're a standardized body. We all use AES for encryption somewhere, and that's because NIST have standardized encryption, AES. However, there are 4 new standardized algorithms that NIST also released this year. Crystals Kyber, Crystals Dilithium, Falcon, and Sphinx. That last one has an odd name. But yeah. Anyway, so what kind of problem are we facing when it comes to cryptography? You see, the thing is, cryptography is everywhere, and you just don't appreciate how everywhere, where it is until you actually go looking for it. It's in every single industry that we are linked to, indirectly linked to. It's in every layer of our systems. It's in our policies. It's in our procedures. It's in our firewalls. It's in our servers. It's in our storage systems. It's in our ID cards. It's everywhere. And so, well, what seems to be what is out there that can help us, right? The thing is, I've been talking a bit doom and gloom, but there is hope, there is light at the end of this tunnel. Quantum safe technologies do exist. There are companies that are working on upgrading and updating their systems and helping others to do the same. Awareness and urgency is growing. There's actually a quantum village on the second floor, which I had no idea about. But yeah, I'm sure those guys will help you understand about the awareness and stuff. And regulators are issuing new guidance and advisory and directives. So what seems to be one of the main problems that organizations face when they come to this? And now I'm not here to talk about politics or anything, but just like the outside world, migration is a huge problem when it comes to quantum safe cryptography. We need to migrate our public key cryptography to a more quantum safe alternative. And this actually takes a lot longer than what we may envision. See, we've done this with SHA-1 and SHA-2, and this took about a decade to fully complete. And look at that. We've got just about a decade until RSA is fully deprecated by NIST. So we need to start migrating our systems or start thinking about migrating our systems now. And I'm going to leave you with these final things to think about. So if we do want to do a quantum safe migration, what kinds of things do we need to think about? Well, we need to have a cryptography inventory. I have heard other people talk about inventories and asset inventories, which are very important. And if you look in the CISP book, tells you that asset inventory is one of the most important things you can do. I think that might even be one of the top CIS controls. We need to start thinking about crypto agility in our products and our services and in our applications. Again, what does that mean? It means that our applications are designed to work with certain algorithms, with certain ciphers. The new NIST ones, they have larger keys, they have larger size requirements, they're computationally slower. So we need to take that all into account when we're developing these new applications, or even if we're looking at new solutions in this space. We need to update our governance, because nothing happens without the policy at the top, or the people at the top saying we need to do something, so we need to update our governance. Application performance, just what I was talking about with crypto agility, and we need to think about our ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, I mean we need to think about... So in our organizations, we have lots of software, hardware that are from other companies. Sometimes we're reliant on those companies to provide us with updates and patches and stuff. So we need to think about how we manage those partners as well. And so, yeah, that's about the end of this talk. So I hope I've convinced you that no, it's not a buzzword and that it is something more serious.
Please give a round of applause. I feel like we might have a few questions for you. Is that the case?
Do you see store and decrypt as a serious threat model? People sucking up encrypted internet now to decrypt it when
yeah, so that's a good question. I do think that is a serious threat. I think there are definitely capabilities out there. And I'm not saying it's going to be like a commercial a sector that does that, but there will definitely be agencies and spy agencies and other kinds of actors, potentially actors with even more resources outside the commercial sector that can do that. And there are definitely data centers that have the ability to store that kind of information. So yeah. But it also depends on your risk model as well. Like, what are you protecting? And how long are you protecting that data for? Sorry. Yeah, that's all.
Someone over there would like to ask a question?
You briefly showed the NIST standardization candidates. Do you think that our reliance on hard lattice problems is going to be an issue in the future, similar to our reliance on factoring and discrete log?
Yeah, so again, another good question. So those, like you said, the new candidates, they all rely on lattice-based cryptography, right? At the moment, there could be an attack on lattice-based cryptography, and I know that there's definitely academics and other cryptographers out there that are working on trying to break that kind of stuff, as there would be. For now, I think we're okay. It seems to be like a tested and tried model. And so until someone comes up with an attack on that, I think we should be okay for now.
We can have one more.
Thanks. Thank you for your talk, and I will be signing up to OnlyFans.
Thank you.
So what practical steps do you think organizations should be taking today?
Yes, very good. So what kinds of steps should we start thinking about? The thing is, I've been asked this question in terms of, do I need to have a mature cryptography capability in my company to start thinking about this now? And the answer is no, you don't actually. You can mature your cryptography capability as you do this at the same time. Definitely, the things to think about are: do you know where your cryptography is? Do you know what vendors you work with? And the cryptography that they provide, what kind of cryptography do you use from outside of your company? And other things are probably best to think about is just to start thinking about quantum, have a plan, have a strategy, and have some resources in place as well. I think to start, that would be good. Yeah, to start with the cryptography inventory. That will help with the transition. And come talk to me and so my company can sell you services later.
That was fab. Feel free to continue the conversation in the corridor. But yeah, we'll have our next talk in 10 minutes. Should we give another round of applause? I think that deserves it. Yeah.